Mystery and thriller fans, I'm your on-air host and author, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back tonight real-life CIA analyst turned thriller author and horror author, Alma Katsu, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new book, Fiend. Alma, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Well, thank you first, thank you for having me. It's always great to talk to you, of course. I'm super excited about this book. It's a horror novel, so it's not my first horror novel, but it's my first contemporary horror novel. So I don't have all of the trappings of history to rely on. And it's just such a different book for me. It's very fast-paced, hopefully very hard-hitting, and at the end, it'll just take your breath away. So did you want me to do like the elevator pitch kind of thing? Okay.
Give us the elevator pitch, Alma.
Okay. Well, the Berisha family is one of the wealthiest families in the world, but there's always been this strange sort of rumor dogging them that maybe they've had a little help doing that. It's sort of convenient. Something happens to their rivals, or, the manufacturing plant of a competitor gets swallowed up in an earthquake. So when we come into the story, we see the middle child, 3 children. Maris, the middle child, has decided that she's probably the best one to take over as CEO of the company, but also head of the family, head of the Berisha clan, because she just feels she has the best temperament for it. Not her brother Darden. Darden is the only son, but he's also the eldest child. And of course, he's in line to take over everything. But she just feels he's too wishy-washy. He's not decisive enough. He doesn't have the killer instinct, which she does have. Well, she tries to convince her father of this, and this kicks off a whole battle royale in the family. And that little supernatural protector I told you about, it's going to come into play. So that's it in a nutshell.
Well, it is a nutshell that I cannot wait to crack open and get the inside scoop from Alma, because I have so many questions, and I know so many of us do. So first, I just want to welcome everyone, because we are broadcasting live to 8 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So hey, mystery, thriller, and horror-loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday, and I am back after a 2-week break. So we are here to get your week off to a killer start and get those days and pages flying by. If you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome, friends. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Alma about her writing practice. She writes both horror and thrillers, and this is her first contemporary horror. Previously, she's written historical, which y'all know I love. So ask her anything about her writing process, about writing across the genres. Just get the questions going in the comments. I'll get them right over. Joining us live from Facebook, we have Robin. She says, hello all from sunny Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Hi, Robin. Welcome back. So good to have you. Yes, we are here for that family drama. Renee says, hello. Hi from stormy Southeast Florida. Oh, I hope it's not too stormy there, Renee.
Right. Stay safe.
Stay safe, please. Robin says, we've missed you, Sarah. Oh, Robin, I've missed you too. It's so good to be back with my Mavens, back on Mondays. And I know some questions are coming in, but Alma, I have a question for you. Actually, it's a 2-part question. So on the thriller side, first of all, I want to know, do you prefer to write the mysteries, or mystery/thrillers, or is horror where your heart is, or you love them both equally? What's the scoop on the genres?
Well, I get asked that a lot, and it's a little hard to say. I mean, so my horror has also been described as thrillers, although I'm not really sure. I mean, the 3 historical ones are more of a slow burn. I think Fiend definitely qualifies as a thriller because it has that pace, it just keeps you going, turning the pages sort of breathless. And I did that on purpose. I didn't want people to have a chance to sort of catch their breath, because I wanted it all to sort of fall on the reader at the end. All the pieces sort of come together and you suddenly realize what's been going on. I have to say the spy thrillers, though, are easier for me to write because I had, it was my whole life that I spent in intelligence, and it got to the point where I could sort of anticipate what would happen. If you gave me a premise, I could say, oh, well, this is exactly what would go down in the building, and this is what would happen in the interagency, and how the White House would respond, and all that kind of stuff. So they're easier in a way than writing horror, actually. And I guess the other thing is I really don't like cliche. So, and it's really easy to fall into cliche when you're writing horror. So it really takes a lot of thought, I think. And yeah, it takes me longer to write horror than it does to write a spy story.
What do you mean it's easier to fall into? Tell us more what you mean that it's easier to fall into those traps, into those tropes.
Well, I think right now we're in a really interesting time for horror, and there's a lot more writers and a lot more sort of subgenres and a lot of really original work that's going on there. But it's almost like if you think about horror movies, it's really easy to sort of see the sort of cliches or patterns that movies fall into, right? Well, it sometimes happens with books too. Um, for instance, I think ghost stories are among the hardest stories to write because it's hard to surprise people.
And it's hard to scare people.
It's really hard to scare people, especially these days.
Yes.
But it's so much fun. So you want to try it. But yeah, that's what I mean. It's like if you can't come up with something original in it, it's so easy to just sort of lapse into what you've read before, what you've seen before in movies or television.
So that what you said a second ago actually leads me perfectly to my next question, because Alma, I know you have drawn heavily on your real life experience as a CIA analyst, as in your real life career as an actual real life CIA analyst, which is just so freaking cool. I cannot even wrap my brain around it. I love having you on because it's such a pleasure and an honor to chat with you.
We're going to have to do like a whole spy half hour sometime.
Oh my God, did someone say spy half hour? I am in. Oh my God, the heart's going up on Facebook. Everyone's excited for the spy half hour. But I know that in your Red Widow, Red London, Red series, your protagonist, which we've had you on for, is of course a CIA analyst, much like you, Alma. And now we have you, so you draw your own life experience about that. Now we have you writing about a family who has a demon at their command. Do you also have a demon at your command, Alma?
Wouldn't that make life easier? Wouldn't that make life easier? If only I had a demon at my command. No, I do not. I grew up I tell people this all the time, when I thought of was this as the spookiest town in New England, and that's saying a lot for New England. And I grew up wishing that there was magic, right? Like I wanted to see a ghost. I wanted to have magical powers. Of course I was to be disappointed. But at a certain point you realize those things don't exist, which also makes it hard to write about it. But fun, yeah.
So you don't believe in ghosts, Alma?
No, I haven't seen one yet.
Okay, everyone witnessed it. Alma just jinxed herself. You just invited, you basically, you're gonna see one tonight. You just said it out loud live. Now, Alma, why would you say that? One is definitely coming up to your house right now. Oh my God, I'm so scared. But no, seriously, Fiend is, if nothing, a cautionary tale that yes, if you have a demon at your command, you could use it to bring harm to befall your enemies, to enrich your exactly. Renee's predicting the ghost as well. Boo, indeed. Yeah, exactly. We're going to get back to this ghost conversation, but then of course there is, no upside without downside. There is a price to pay if one has
always, right? These are Faustian bargains. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Yeah, you're going to have to pay.
And no such thing as a free demon. Renee wants to know, Alma, do you prefer to read horror, thrillers, or another genre?
Gosh, that's a great question. I read very omnivorously. I read just really whatever strikes my fancy. I read reviews. And so if I hear of an interesting book, I'll put it on my list. So yeah, I read a little bit of everything.
Me too. I think this idea that people only read one thing I just have never met a person who only reads one thing. I think, I don't know. I read curiously, and
well, especially as a writer, I think you really have to read broadly. You need to read in your own genre, of course. You need to know what other people are doing. but you also need to read how other writers handle certain things. How do they develop their character? How do they, like in science fiction or fantasy, how do they handle, multiple timelines, things like that. And those are the things that you only pick up, I think, by reading other writers.
Exactly. So you read omnivorously. Do you also, we know you write omnivorously, but do you prefer to, um, to write those books that are drawn from your real life experience in the CIA, or do you prefer the historical, or how has your first foray into contemporary horror been?
Well, I'll tell you, writing Fiend was so much fun. First of all, the idea just kind of came to me whole.
Ooh,
So it was probably the fastest book I've ever written too. And, I could just make stuff up. When you're doing historicals, you make some things up, but you're kind of honor bound to stay somewhat close to the history, or at least acknowledge it, right? And the same thing with the spy novels. Um, I can't make it 100% the truth, or never get through the pre-publication review process with the agency. But also, in real life, it's not as exciting as it is, like on TV or movies. And you do have to write a little bit to readers' expectations. So, there's always that mix of fact and fiction. There's some fact even in Fiend. I had to do some research. I don't know how the super wealthy live, for instance. So I had to do a little research on that. But we're fiction writers, right? We like making things up.
I like that. Well, I also liked how the Library Journal said, oozing with dread, Katsu presents a fast-paced story that will unite her fans across genres. And I thought, oh, that's so interesting, because I think one of the things as writers we face is this idea. It's like that as writers, we have to be sort of one-trick ponies and keep replicating the thing that worked for us. But so your editors might want to see more historical horror, just keep doing different iterations of that, or they might want to see more CIA agent thrillers, keep doing, replicating that. But you're, writing across the genres. And so I was so happy to see Library Journal acknowledge that this, a Katsu book is a Katsu book, and that readers who have only, read within one within one of your books are going to enjoy, this. And so I thought that was so cool, because readers don't just read one thing. Exactly.
Let's hope it works. I've always thought, for instance, the Red London, Red Widow books, I would think they would appeal to women who like suspense, even, that you don't
Women
have
who like suspense.
There you go. You don't have to be a dyed-in-the-wool, spy novel fan. But it is interesting how you do sometimes find these divides between genres. And honestly, I can't say that. I mean, I think in some ways that having horror and spy novels are the two most difficult extremes. I mean, really,
Yes.
yeah.
You don't get much more far apart than that.
Yeah. I think
Renee wants to know, she said a moment ago, you said that you grew up wishing you had magical powers. What magical power would you have loved to have?
Well, I wanted to be a witch. Right? And so you could hex people if you wanted to, or, make somebody fall in love with you, all of those kinds of garden variety things. Yeah, but didn't work out that way.
I'm thinking of someone who needs to be hexed right now. I would like to hex
Oh,
a person. Oh my goodness. So Robin is mentioning the new Stephen King anthology, The Stand.
yes.
And folks and Renee's wondering if either of us have read it. I have not. Have you, Alma?
Not only did I read the anthology, I have a story in it. So it's the anthology. It just came out a couple weeks ago, and it was an instant New York Times bestseller. We were very proud of that. But it's based in the world of The Stand. So Stephen King wrote the introduction, which was so very kind of him. And then I think it was like 34 authors, around that number. Not just horror. We had some thriller writers too, wrote stories that, didn't replicate the stories of The Stand. And we didn't use the main characters from The Stand, but just sort of expanded that world. And it was really an honor to be involved in the project. And there are some outstanding stories in that anthology. If anybody likes Stephen King, I really urge them to take a look at the anthology. And it was so successful, there's already some more in the works based on Stephen King
Yay!
books. Yeah.
Renee saying, wow, congratulations. Alma echoing all of us and all of the hearts on Facebook. Very, very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew as soon as I was asked that, I wanted to do this. I'm not like a lot of other horror writers. I'm not like really into canon. I didn't grow up reading Stephen King. I'd certainly read some Stephen King. I hadn't read The Stand. And so when the editors asked me, I said, I haven't read it. Is that okay with you? And they were like, sure, just read it. Man, that thing is thick. It's like 1,000 pages, right?
Yeah, you're
But,
building that bicep.
yeah, really. So yeah, but it was such an honor to be in it. And so many of the writers in it, of course, are huge Stephen King fans, and they can like almost recite The Stand word for word. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and promoting it too has been a blast.
Oh my God, and such an honor to be included. Amazing. Well, Alma's coming on tonight to give us the inside scoop on Fiend and take all of our most pressing questions. So whether you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, you can pre-order from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. Get your mitts on this gorgeous cover. The good folks at Murder by the Book will ship it out to you first thing tomorrow morning, so you can get your mitts on Fiend and immerse yourselves into the world of the Berishas. I want to talk about some of the other praise that this book has earned, Alma.
Oh, thank you.
Yay! So first from Publishers Weekly, which says, in this haunting tale, Katsu's exploration of the bloody price of privilege keeps the pages turning. It is supernaturally charged succession that will have readers hooked. And other praise also likened the book to Succession, which I absolutely loved. So you said the idea came to you in one big chunk. Tell us about the moment that the idea arrived.
Well, I mean, Succession is definitely an inspiration, but not the only one, right? I mean, I remember thinking, it'd be nice to write something like that, but of course, it would need to have something supernatural in it. But really, the inspiration for it has to do with sort of this moment we find ourselves in right now culturally, where it seems like greed is good again, right? Like all we care about in movies or television or even social media are really wealthy people or people pretending to be really wealthy, right? And to the point where we don't even care how they got it. Like we see people in front of us and we know they're lying, stealing, and cheating, and yet they're not being condemned. And it made me mad. And I thought, what does it take to wake some people up? Do you have to actually see the devil pop up in a cloud of smoke next to him? And that's where the idea came from. I can't hear you. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
gosh, I muted myself for a second so I could copy and paste the buy link in, and you wouldn't hear my little fingers, doing the ASMR of typing. But Alma, I have also been wondering why it is that culturally we're at a moment where we care more about witnessing someone's privilege than about taking care of those who are most vulnerable. And I'm not sure why that is, or when we as culturally stopped caring about those who are most in need, or stopped caring about the ethics of where inordinate wealth from some people came from. And I had no idea that is what drew that. And I'm fascinated that what a clever brain you have to get from where we are culturally to Fiend.
I mean, I think a lot of us are struggling with this. What does it mean about us as a society that we're allowing ourselves, to chase the shiny bauble, and we're not really holding on to the things that we know are important, and it's just, I'm sure in the future, historians are going to have a field day with this era as they sort of, peel back the layers and find out, was social media a big, did it play a big role in this? I think so.
Right. The
Yeah.
conspicuous consumption created, yeah, I think I was just thinking that as well. The
Yeah.
conspicuous consumption and the public facing nature of that created this, idealized world. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when, especially as someone who minored in history, and when you hear historians speak about, oh, thank you, Renee, saying yes. You hear historians speak about the past and you're like, how could you not have seen? And then and then I keep hearing that historian's voice, like a movie, a movie preview voice in my head saying, little did they know, except we do know, we can see it coming. It just is so interesting.
Right. And that's the shocking part. One of my books had to do with the Gilded Age, the Deep, which was about the sinking of the
The
Titanic.
Titanic,
And you
yes.
just see these parallels between what was going on then and what was going on now.
Yes.
And why can't we learn from the past? It's just fascinating.
Because some people don't want to look at the past, and also in a moment where a historical moment right now where people are wanting to erase the past if it's too uncomfortable. But we have to, I think, sit in that discomfort and bear witness to that discomfort, because otherwise we're never going to do better going forward, because we cannot learn from our past mistakes.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I did as an analyst, and I've mentioned this before, back in the 90s, I worked on issues that included genocides and mass atrocities. And
Ooh.
one of the things I learned working those issues is that you can't deny the past. The truth always comes out. It may take a long time, but you're not going to heal and you're not going to get over the terrible issues that cause things like this unless you face the truth. Sweeping it under the rug is a temporary measure at best, right? So you're just prolonging the pain, actually.
That is fascinating. I had no idea that that was within the scope of your work while you were at the CIA. I
Yes.
didn't know that the CIA covered.
Well, they did do a lot of things that were considered non-traditional intelligence targets. But in the 90s, we had a lot of really what you might consider civil wars in other countries, right? Like Bosnia Herzegovina, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, Democratic Republic of Congo. And in most of those, we ended up having mass atrocities or genocides. So you may remember, like, UN peacekeeping missions would go in trying to keep the peace, separating the warring parties and trying to give diplomacy a chance to, make some headway. Yes. So I was, I followed those issues. So I'd be in the middle of it and watching the conflict, but also looking at the humanitarian issues. Do they need food? Do they need water? Do they need, refugee camps, that sort of thing? And unfortunately, who slaughtered who and where are the bodies buried?
I did not know the CIA did that. I'm learning so much from you, Alma.
They do so many things.
Oh, I'm learning so much, as I always do. Alma, tell us about, I would love to get a sneak peek into your life as a writer, because this is a whole different a new chapter for you. So different from your work at the CIA and national, security and secrets and investigating mass atrocities and genocide. Now you're Alma Katsu, the author. Tell us about your authorly life. Are you very regimented? Like, you're still at the CIA, you're at your desk surrounded by metal filing cabinets, and they're, rigorously pounding out those words, make with a spreadsheet perhaps to track your words? Or are you more, now that you're in this new chapter, more of a go with the flow kind of person? Tell us about your writing practice.
I think I've loosened up a lot. I mean, when you work in the intelligence community, especially if you're an analyst, you do have to be extremely disciplined, and you never know what's going to get thrown at you in a day, right? So you really want to stay on top of your work. I retired in 2017. I was a consultant back to the government for a while, but I let all that go a couple years ago. And I feel like I'm finally learning to relax. I always felt like I could trust my instincts. If my instincts told me this is a first draft day, you're going to create things, or, maybe it's more time to edit. But a lot of that, of course, as gets dictated by, are you on deadline? Are you have to get through those first pass pages or something like that. The one thing I will say is I've been doing this 15 years now, been having books published, and I'm really trying to expand my scope. So, for instance, we have 3 projects that have been optioned for TV. One, Fiend has been optioned for TV. I know.
Oh my God, congratulations.
And we have one show that's in production. So yeah. And
Alma,
I know it's
congratulations. That's so amazing. Oh my God, I'm so happy for you.
oh, thank you. Well, you know how it is. It's a it's a journey, right? It doesn't happen usually for most of us off the bat. You have to sort of, hoist yourself up one hand at a time. So it's taken a while to get here, but that's part of what I'm trying to do, to sort of do more. As much as I love writing books, I also like the challenge of trying to see what else is out there. You probably feel the
Mm.
same way. I mean, you had a big success right off the bat, right? Your last book was a New York Times bestseller.
Oh, it wasn't a New York Times bestseller, but I'm manifesting that for the future. Well, I'm holding
It
that
was.
in my
It should have been.
oh, thank you, Alma. I'm holding that hope and that prayer for myself, for someday in the future. Thank you.
Well, hey, I just got it with The Stand.
Yeah.
The End of the World as We Know It, the anthology, The Stand. Did not have a New York Times bestseller. I was starting to think it was never going to happen for me. So
It's like, yeah, it's just getting harder and harder.
it is. It is. Very fewer people who've never made the list make the list now. And yeah. So you never know. Like I said, 15 years it took.
Alma, we have a very serious question here
Oh,
in the audience. As someone who was in it's the inner sanctum, secret rooms that we will never be in, seeing secret papers that we will never see. Given where we are now, Robin would like to know, and I'm definitely wondering this every single day. Do you think we can survive as a nation? And I'll add, as a democracy.
right. Well, that's a very serious question. And until the second term, I would have said, of course, right? I had the ultimate confidence in this country and the checks and balances that were set up. I don't think anybody ever envisioned what we're seeing now, where we have a Congress that's completely abdicated its responsibilities, and you have a Supreme Court that does not look impartial at all. Just their ruling today, which makes absolutely no sense, that you can arrest somebody just because of the color of their skin, but you're not anyway. I really don't know. Who knows what's in store for us? We think we know what the law is, and we think we know where the boundaries are, but they seem to get, pushed aside every day.
Mm.
I'd like to think that we're going to have a regular election in 3 years, and that all the parties will abide by the results of the election, but who knows?
Yeah, these are unprecedented times, and I'm getting tired of living in unprecedented times. I would like to live in precedented times.
Yes, me too.
Renee, I
It's
think
worked
that's
pretty well before.
how we're all feeling. We're all feeling
Mhm.
that way, and we're all in it together. Um,
Yes, we are. We're all in it together. I just wish people would remember that.
exactly, exactly. Alma, this book has earned so much incredible praise, including, and I can see that we're actually running out of time because we're having such wonderful conversations. So I've put all of your incredible praise in the comments. I mean, we have here Silvia Moreno-Garcia, author of Mexican Gothic, raving succession meets supernatural in this tale of greed and family dysfunction. Alma Katsu ventures into contemporary heart with panache. And if Silvia Moreno-Garcia says it, it's true. And she's not the only one raving. We've got Tana Rive Du, we've got Grady Hendrix, Sadie Hartman, Rachel Harrison, Jennifer McMahon, Christopher Golden, Karen J. Fowler, Victor Vale. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on, as
Very
well.
lucky. Very lucky.
AIDS. Renee, thank you for coming. And I just want to remind you all that the book is not even out. Alma is coming on to give us the inside scoop, and I'm putting all of the praise here in the chat so you can peruse it at your own pace, because it's just such a pleasure to see what all these incredible other authors are saying about it. And again, here is the link to get your copy of Fiend from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, of course, the incredible Murder by the Book. So get your mitts on this gorgeous cover and the Berisha family saga and drama, and we will and let us know what you think. If you're not already a member of Mystery and Thriller Mavens on Facebook, hop over. That's where all the good tea is spilled, and let us know what you think and what you're reading. Robin saying, we're all in this together and we must keep the hope and the pressure on our reps. What a perfect
Absolutely.
note to end on. Robin, thank you. And Robin lives over there in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which has gotten into some good trouble lately. So we like that.
Good
Alma
trouble.
Katsu, thank you so much for coming to join us. It is always such a pleasure to interview you and host you and talk to you about writing and the CIA and horror and thrillers. And I'm such a Titanic nerd. I just love all that you do, and I'm such a spy nerd.
You're
So
so sweet. It's always great to see you and to just hear you. I love talking to you.
oh my gosh. Well, we are, Alma is going to be with us at the Boston Book Festival as well as the South End Author Series, which I curate. So there will be more, both of which I will live stream. So, I will be live streaming the library. I can't do the Boston Book Festival because that it's too complicated with the tech. But so there will be more chances. I always think of I always think of my questions 3 days or 3 weeks later. So after you read Fiend, if you have more questions for Alma, she will be with us on November 12th. And I will be providing a live stream there. So if you read Fiend and you have more questions for the incredible Alma Katsu, be sure to join us again and let us know what those are. Alma, thank you again for joining us. It's always such a pleasure to host you, and I can't wait to see you in person very soon.
Me too. Thank you so much. Looking forward to November.
Yay. All right, y'all. That is a wrap for us. I hope your week is off to a killer start. May the days and the pages fly by, and I will be back next week with Walter Mosley and Nick Medina. You won't want to miss that. Have a wonderful week until then.